And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Plz on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. The date today is the 5th of June, 2009. It is 7:30 in the British Isles. It is 2:30 EST. In other times, it's other places, and in other places, it may also be other times. And this is Blue Plz. Welcome to the show. What a show we have coming up for you today. We really do. We're going to be talking all manner of great things, like I'm sick of raiding. Utterly and totally sick of it. And it's actually not Blizzard's fault for once. I'll be talking a bit about that and trying to figure out what I should do next in WoW, if anything. Maybe I'll get into PvP or something. Also, Blizzard have recently claimed in a blue post that they will not implement a start at level 55 feature in the, quote, near future. We ask, is old school leveling actually any fun anymore for anyone who's played the game for any length of time? And how can we maybe spice it up a little? Also, more things to do in WoW for future content that go beyond the same old PvP formula. Evidently, raiding and PvP are going to get a bit stale for some people. They're already getting stale for me, so try to think of a way out of that. A way to expand the content in different directions. And yes, it shall be speculative. Now, I've got a crazy sore throat today. I'm not entirely sure how I managed to get one. I haven't been shouting much, or yelling at people. Indeed, I've only raided once, and they were, actually, come to think of it that day, monumentally freaking terrible. But I can forgive them for that. We actually got onto Yogg-Saron, which was reasonably interesting. Quite a cool fight, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. However, there's a bunch of stuff to cover before that. So, if you are not already in the IRC channel, that is a mistake that you should remedy immediately. irc.mmoirc.com #or WoW Radio. Alternatively, click the wcradio.com website. Go over there. Click the chat button at the top of the screen, and you can use our Java client if for some reason you don't have one of your own. It works, it's good, it's awesome. Go do it. Otherwise, you are missing out. Now, I have a special surprise coming at the end of this segment, and you're going to have to wait to see what it is. I'm not going to be leaking out any early secrets just yet. Anyway, I've got a ton of stuff to cover, so might as well get on with it. First thing is first. Those of you who aren't aware, and I can't imagine that's too many by this point, I live in, well, near a town called Newcastle, and there is a campus of a university there called the Newcastle Business School. The Newcastle University Business School, whose acronym is NUBS. Oh dear. Didn't think that one through. Anyway, I was recently contacted by a senior lecturer at that particular university, and his name is David Grundy. And he is the BA Honours Business Studies Programme Leader at Newcastle Business School. And he is kicking off a survey. And you might think, oh, it's one of those other surveys of gamer services. It's actually not. It's about payment habits and brand commitment and satisfaction in a subscription-based product, which I find to be rather interesting. Now, this is a very good survey. I've taken it myself, and I said to him that I would give you guys the opportunity to help him out and give him some good answers, because I know you guys are good at that kind of thing. Whereas the forums and all those other places, probably not so much. So, if you've got some spare time, say during the music break or whatever, head over to tinyearl.com/tbsurvey. Yes, I made a little redirector. tinyearl.com, that's URL, not my name is Earl.com/tbsurvey. Head over there and go fill in that survey, because, to be honest, it's nice to see the academia actually paying attention to this little hobby of ours, and indeed recognising that this is somewhat of a monumental business achievement to get so many people paying this fee month to month to month and keep them playing. Brand loyalty is a fickle beast. I know that more than most. So yeah, go check it out. It's pretty cool. Now, you may also be aware that last week we talked a little bit about Deadly Boss Mods and how Deadly Boss Mods are a bunch of freaking sellouts. Well, we went and posted on their forums a bit. We weren't rude or anything. We gave them the facts, and the DBM author basically dismissed them. For one, didn't believe that hacking was actually caused by gold sellers, and that, quite frankly, freaks me out a little bit, because he's supposed to be a coder. One would think that he'd understand the basic principles behind keylogging and script kiddies. Evidently not, so possibly not quite as good as his job as he thinks he is. However, thanks to fan pressure, he will be apparently taking the banner down very soon. Yes, the gold selling banner will be coming down on deadlybossmods.com because, quote, the little extra money isn't worth the flames. Right, you need to get this into your head. We don't flame you because we hate you. We flame you because you hate the people you're taking money off of. And if you're not willing to listen to people that know what they're talking about, then no, we're not going to give you all that much breathing room in that regard. I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt, because I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and you turned around and proved that no, you don't actually care. You have friends who are gold buyers, and you support those people. Instead of telling them, no, this is a bad thing, that not only damages the economy, is not only, of course, cheating, which is kind of a big deal, but most importantly of all, is responsible for hacking your fellow fan sites and hacking innocent players, then quite frankly, you don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, or indeed our attention or patronage in any respect. So I'm glad he's taken it down, but it's unfortunate that he's doing it for the wrong reasons, and it's also unfortunate that it had to come to this, but some people just don't get it. And that's sad, but, you know, that's our mission, to spread the knowledge and lift the veil of ignorance on people in that regard. Gold selling is bad, okay? As is gold buying. If no one bought gold, we wouldn't have these issues. Right. Not done. Loads more to cover. I've got the mailbag to cover, but I'm also going to talk about BlizzCon. Yes, because it is just over a month away, folks, and I want to tell you a little bit about what we'll be doing. You'll be aware of what happened last year. There was something of a disaster, and all the equipment got deported, and we were understaffed and all sorts of stuff, but still, all the staff there did a stellar job of giving you the best coverage. And, of course, we're competing with the monolithic DirecTV again, and will, of course, be providing the most complete coverage, again, free of charge. Now, not saying the DirecTV coverage is bad, because it isn't, but it's Spartan. I know you guys want to hear the panels in their entirety. I know you guys want to pick which panel you want to see, and you don't want to be limited to 8 hours of total footage, which is like half the panels, if that. So we will be broadcasting all of the panels. Yes, multiple streams, all of the panels, every single last one of them. We will have a team there, and our equipment is already over in the States. Most of it, at any rate. So yes, you'll be getting the high-quality mics. You'll be getting the high-quality sound cards and broadcasting equipment. It'll be awesome. Not only that, but this time around we are ensuring that we have a studio with a working internet connection, as opposed to the Marriott, who evidently can't get something that works for more than 20 minutes, which is a little bit embarrassing, I must say, for a major hotel chain. Might want to look at that. No, we are definitely getting a studio, a room in a hotel where the internet actually works, and we will be providing you with shows. Yes, news, comment, punditry, analysis, breakdown, everything you could possibly want. Also, the camera, which was, of course, deported last time, will be there this time. It's already over in the States, so we'll be providing you with video interviews, exclusive stuff, with all manner of people. You have to see which ones we get. We've got plenty in the works. Not willing to announce anything yet. But trust me, we'll have some great interviews. And, of course, videos of panels and gameplay footage. It'll be awesome. It'll be on WCURadio.com. It will be available as downloads after the fact, so if you miss anything whatsoever, you'll have the opportunity to listen to it at any time at your convenience on whatever device you wish. And it will be free. Yes, indeed, it will be free. And you guys are helping us with that. And those of you who've been to WCURadio.com will already know that we are raising some funds to help us out. Now, we do have a lot of equipment, but we do need some more. And we are also trying to get some branded stuff. We're trying to get branded table and chairs, mic flags, business cards. We need another portable recorder because the last one got smashed on the way back from the States. Thanks, Homeland Security. Jackasses. And, of course, we're going to try and help out our staff by, feeding them and making sure they have a roof over their heads, because we don't really want them slumming it outside the convention centre. Now, the way we're doing it this year is we're going to give you guys the opportunity to get a very special treat for donating. We have two teams. We have Team Murloc and Team Nubcake, which consist of 2 shows apiece plus some extra people. We've got 7 people on each team, including such hosts as Dustin, Speedy F40, Gnomewise, Railvass, Death and Decay, Dunkor, Cadwalian, Mickey C, Pride, Omicron. They're all on different teams. Now, Team Murloc, of course, has my wife on it. And since I'm not going, I'm not part of Team Murloc, but I must throw in my lot with Team Murloc and support Team Murloc and ask you guys to donate for Team Murloc. Because, of course, the guys who lose, well, their team gets a pie in the face. And that video will be released for the donators to see. Oh, yes. That will be most unpleasant. Now, there will be fundraising going on over the next few weeks, and no doubt many hijinks and capers going on various shows. That will be interesting, but I'm asking you guys to vote. Think about this way. We've got 150,000 unique listeners throughout the community. If every one of those donated just 10 cents, we would have $15,000. We could provide the best quality. The absolute best quality. Think about this. We could buy some amazing cameras. We could buy the absolute best rigs to do what we want to do, and we could do it perfectly for you guys. Now, of course, I'm not expecting everyone to donate. It's very kind. Those of you who've already donated, you guys are awesome, and we love the fact that you're willing to support us. But even if you've got just a little bit of change lying in your PayPal account, unused, just chip in. Just click the links on WCRadio.com. Every little helps. Seriously, you have no idea how much tiny little pieces of change can really add up. So yes, donations are appreciated, folks. It will go into improving the station, which of course will give a better service for you guys. And hopefully, if we get enough, we'll be upgrading our servers, which means faster downloads for you guys and higher quality archives. Yes, indeed. If we get the best servers that we can get, we get some really good servers, that means all our archives are going to be the same quality and the same bitrate as our streams. That's 128 kbps. That's near to, for the normal ear, CD quality. It'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? So yeah, go to it, folks. I know you want to. And thank you ever so much for your support. Now, we've got a little bit of time. Before the music break and the special surprise. I'm going to read a couple of emails. I know, I'm not going to play the mail time drop because apparently half of you hate it. I'm coming up with a new one. I will think of something. This one's from Shiera. He is apparently a level 15 Death Knight. Now, I would dispute that, but never mind. We'll let him go. He's from Carpet Sharks on Ice Crown US, and he says this: Hey TB, my brother and I have just finished Arthas, and I have to say I'm very impressed. It is a great book, and even more impressive is for my brother to read it. He just recently bought and started on Rise of the Horde now, and I'm surprised he's found a series of books that he's been able to get into and read. I just want to share my appreciation for these books that I've gotten my brother to read. Keep up the rant. Yeah, Arthas is probably the first WoW book that I'm actually interested in reading, because the lore behind Arthas is interesting. I'm not much of a lore person. Not on WoW, anyway. I like a big lore buff on Warhammer 40,000, for instance. I'm a massive fan of that. I've got, almost 100 Warhammer 40,000 books. And yet, most of them are absolutely trashy, but to be honest, I'm not buying them to be high works of literature. I'm buying them to have Space Marines kill people, or Orcs kill Space Marines, or Chaos screwing up everything. Whatever the case. But yeah, I'm interested in Arthas. I might actually buy myself a copy of it, and from what I've heard, it's really good. So, yeah, go get yourself a copy of Arthas. I don't see why not. It seems pretty cool to me. Now, one last thing before I go to the music break. I need to remind you of your chance to contribute to this show. you can email for the illusion of choice. Email themurloc@gmail.com. That is the murloc@gmail.com. You can email in a suggestion for the last topic of the show. If it's good enough, I will pick it for you. And I will talk about it, and it will be awesome. So yes, email themurloc@gmail.com with your illusions of choice for today. Now, special surprise. I know he's not listening to this show because, well, he doesn't like my show, but whatever. It's Dunco's birthday today, and he thought nobody remembered. Well, they probably didn't, which is why I put this together 15 minutes before the show. So happy birthday, Dunco. This is my new original song. It's called You Need a Dunco, and I'll be right back after this on the music break when we kick into some content. You're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. Happy birthday, Dunco. Enjoy. Approaching to put on a show, but our other host is MIA. That's when you need to call someone on Skype and beg for them to save the day. We're gonna need a Dunco. Oh, it takes a Dunco. There's a ton of things happening at once. Gonna tell the world what's going on. And with every show you hear a little improvement. He'll be deputy assistant reserve manager before too long. That's called a Dunco. Oh, we want a Dunco. And anything that you need to happen from production to hosting shows, you need a Dunco. Even Cat has a Dunco. If you're ever in the market for someone to act nonchalant about pretty much everything, who owns a giant orange foam hat, probably best to look up Dunco. No, Dunco. Can't get the staff these days. Except for Dunco. No! You bastards. Assuming that he's not busy, he might begrudgingly agree to fill in. You need a Dunco. Oh, it takes a Dunco. Always rely on a Dunco. If you want to play Dota, you should find someone else than Dunco. Ooh, fade out. Ooh. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. Yes, indeed, folks. You tune in to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. Yes, the Dunco song. And this is going to those who spammed me saying, where can I download it? I'll make it available after the show. I can't upload things in the middle of the show. That would be pretty irresponsible and silly. However, on the station general discussion board on forums.wcradio.com, I have posted the lyrics. And then in that thread, I will post the MP3. So if you need a Dunco, don't worry, you'll be able to take him with you. Always, wherever you go. Right, time to get at some content. Ladies and gentlemen, you've always known that I'm a very honest person when it comes to making my feelings known and not pulling any punches. So I'm going to say this out loud. I am sick of raiding. I am absolutely, totally sick of raiding. However, for what I can tell, at least this is my gut feeling. Maybe this will change over time. It's not because of Blizzard. I don't think Blizzard has ruined it for me. You know, back in the Naxxramas era of Wrath, I was feeling like Blizzard had ruined raiding for me. And they had, because it wasn't any fun. You know, the stuff wasn't challenging. I wasn't getting any enjoyment out of it. It was a total waste of my time. Now, when Ulduar came out, of course, that kind of changed and continued to change, because Ulduar is, all things considered, a good instance. I am not happy with some of the nerfs they've made to it, but on the whole, it is a good, challenging instance, and it's certainly a massive great step up from Naxx V2. So why am I sick of raiding? Well, I actually think it comes down to a very, very simple concept. And that simple concept is, if you've been doing something for an incredibly long time, it gets stale. And this isn't just a problem with raiding, this is a problem with WoW in general. It's a problem with all games in general. The thing is, MMOs are designed to last longer because, of course, they want to keep you playing. Because otherwise they wouldn't be making any money. So, has WoW failed in some respect to provide that? Well, we're going to be having a little look at that over the next 15 minutes. However, I will also be soliciting your emails on this topic. You can email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. If you are having any issues being sick of raiding or sick of whatever you're doing in WoW, tell me. Share your experiences and maybe we can come to a consensus on that. That's themurloc@gmail.com. And, of course, be honest. It comes down to that at the end of the day. It's only a game. It's not the second coming. It's not the Messiah. It's a very naughty boy. And it's not perfect, but what the best thing we can do as a community is to tell Blizzard why we're having issues, and maybe they'll listen, and then maybe they'll make the game better, and that's better for everyone, right? That's how it works. So, I was at Yogg-Saron a few nights back, and I must say I was kind of dreading going into the raid instance, not because of Yogg-Saron, because I was actually very enthused about seeing Yogg-Saron and doing the encounter. What I was not enthused about was just sinking a massive amount of time into something that was incredibly repetitive. I also knew for a fact that we were in for a night of wipes, and we weren't in for a night of wipes for a good reason. Now, consider Yogg-Saron. Those of you who don't know what Yogg-Saron's about, Yogg-Saron has some similarities to Cthulhu. Some, but not all. The first phase is basically a retard check. Yeah? What you've got to do is you've got... And I'm not going to spoil this for you because there's some cool lore stuff going on here. You've got Yogg-Saron in the middle, yeah? In a form, okay? It's not his true form. And around Yogg-Saron, there are a bunch of green clouds. And these green clouds rotate in a set pattern. And you can see them miles away. Now, the only way to damage Yogg-Saron in Phase 1 is to have the adds which spawn from the clouds or at various intervals killed next to him, because they will then explode and they will deal damage. You cannot target Yogg-Saron directly. You've got to kill 8 of these things to get into Phase 2. Now, these things that spawn are Guardians of Yogg-Saron, and they will spawn at intervals that gradually increase the longer the fight goes on. But the gimmick is that if you hit a green cloud, if any of you stands in the moving green clouds, you will spawn an additional ad. Now, if you get too many ads, you will get very, very easily run over. And you'll get overwhelmed. These things hit hard, and you can't really deal with more than 3, I would say, to be honest, in a 25-man raid and actually still do the damage and maintain everyone. Because, of course, these things are also getting buffs as they go along from Yogg-Saron. And they're also doing massive AoE shadow damage, which really doesn't help matters. And they've got quite a few hit points. They've got about 1 million each. So one would think that this isn't too hard a fight, right? You just do DPS, get in near the boss, blow it up, rinse, repeat, and avoid the green clouds. I mean, these things are not hard to miss. Really. They're not easy to miss. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. I suppose they're not hard to miss for some people. And that's evident because we had a night of wipes on Phase 1 of Yogg-Saron, 25-man. And to be honest, I was embarrassed. Indeed, I wasn't the only one. It was obvious that there were people in the guilds who were like, what the hell is going on? Now, I'm not going to blame my guild specifically because, generally speaking, they're a bunch of good guys and I like playing with them. That's why I came back to them in the first place. Now, it's always, you tell the measure of a guild by how many people are willing to spend $15 to transfer back to play with them. And in my case, yes, I did do that. However, it seems to me, and I don't really know why this is, because I don't think it's because of Naxxramas or whatever, and because I would have thought that people would have kind of shook off the rust a bit by now and would have got limbered up and back into the raiding scene. I just think that we just got some bad players, and I'm sorry to say it, guys. I know Lethe guys are listening, but the guild's got some bad players, and you know it as well as I do, and they're screwing up. And screwing up on a fight whereby you have large moving green clouds that are very easily avoided is absolutely unforgivable. Okay, the first couple of times, maybe, because you got new people there. But let me put it this way, this was the first time I was at Yogg-Saron, and other players in the guild have been there before. Will you explain to me why in the 3 hours that we raided I didn't hit a single green cloud, whereas people who had been there before did? Will you explain that to me? Not only that, but we had to actually have a system whereby we put a great symbol above our guild leader's head, and we had to follow him around. And I didn't do that. And they were shouting at me before. It's like, oh, don't do this, you've got to follow him. It's like, no, I don't, because I have eyes. These are usually located in the front of my face. I use these eyes to spot large green clouds coming towards me. And lo and behold, a miracle happens. I don't hit them. Wow. I must be the best raider in the world ever. No, seriously, I'm sorry, but Yogg-Sothoth on Phase 1 is a joke. It is hilariously easy. I have never seen anything that ridiculous. DPS they and don't stand in the fire. Come on, guys, really? I can't understand that. Now, that wasn't the reason that I was sick of raiding, because the thing is, I was sick of raiding before I went into this encounter. This was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Because I was thinking, why the hell am I spending hours and hours and hours and hours in this instance and I'm getting nowhere? Or we're getting somewhere and I'm just not having fun. It's all about finding what exactly to blame. Is it the game mechanics? Is it the guild? Is it the people I'm playing with? Is it myself? Well, I think everyone that burns out on WoW does so not for one reason, but a big hodgepodge of reasons. Is there a majority reason? Maybe not. It's possible that there's a whole bunch of different reasons that all come together equally as to why people stop playing WoW on a temporary basis. Now, for me, I think the biggest reason is I've been raiding for a long time. A very long time. I've been playing WoW for a very long time. And raiding hasn't really changed. It's evolved in the sense that the mechanics become more complex and the nuances become a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's still the same as it was back in Molten Core. Kill boss, get loot. And that's fine. But it's also the same reason why I'd say don't play Diablo anymore, or Titan Quest, or any other number of RPGs. That's all about killing bosses and getting loot as well. But it gets samey. And the co-op helps. The co-op artificially extends the lifespan of WoW. That's why I say raiding's the best co-op game. It's 25 people in a dungeon taking down a complex encounter. That's cool. But no game has a limitless lifespan. Not at all. And therein lies the problem. Where you have WoW, you have to consider that WoW is an incredibly static game. And it relies on the theme park principle. This is something that the EVE developers, CCP, came up with. They described EVE as a playground, whereas they described WoW as a theme park. And that's true. You get bored of the theme park if you've ridden all the rides. Yeah? Or, say, if you've ridden so many roller coasters that even if they open up a new one, you're less excited about the new one than you were about roller coasters several years ago. And yet you're still paying the price of admission, but you're getting a more degraded experience and less fun every time. And it sounds depressing, I imagine, to some of you. But that's just how I feel. And I'd imagine I'm not the only one. The question is, can Blizzard do anything about it? Well, it's been shown for the past 4 years that raiding is a very successful way of playing. Yeah? There's two primary methods of play. There's PvE and there's PvP. And we'll be talking about expanding that later on. However, raiding works. That is very clear. Raiding does work. People enjoy it, and people spend a lot of time doing it, and it is the meat of the content. The question is, why am I so bored of it? Why are other people bored of it? And what can we do about it? What can we, perhaps, as players do about it to sort of reinvigorate ourselves? Well, one thing that I've considered, and this is something I might do in future weeks, is to come along to guild raids, but only to the 10-mans. Admittedly, the guild probably won't like that, because a lot of the people that do go to the 10-mans are there to try and get extra loot. I actually just want to be there because I want to try a little bit of a different experience, something a bit more small form. And this sounds odd coming from the advocate of 40-man and 25-man raiding as the best way to experience raiding, but the thing is, I've experienced that best way of raiding for a very, very long time. And maybe, just maybe, playing some challenging content in 10-man might enthuse me a little bit more. And it doesn't help that when we go to 25-mans, we're wasting time because people are screwing around for whatever reason. And for God's sake, I was hanging around for over an hour. I mean, I logged on and I was in the raid for over an hour before we even pulled, because people were just screwing around or didn't show up for whatever reason. And I'm sure we're not the only guild that suffers from that. Oh, we're on a hard boss. I'm sorry, I'm only available on Wednesdays where we kill everything else. I haven't been showing up to Wednesday raids recently. Now, that should demonstrate, at least to the guild, that I'm actually in there for some enjoyment, some challenge, and some fun, as opposed to all free epics. Where's the fun in that? Now, I suppose also some of the problem that I'm having is that I'm not so enthused by hard modes as I feel that I should be. And that really comes down to the nature of some of the hard modes. Flame Leviathan hard modes are fun, and there's a number of other encounters that are pretty fun as regards to the hard modes, but convincing the guild to do them, well, that's trickier. And I can understand that, because that's a lot of wiping on a boss we've already killed, whereas we could be doing a boss that we haven't killed. And which is more interesting, doing a boss you haven't killed, as in with whole new mechanics that you have to learn, or doing a boss that you have killed with a couple of extra mechanics or a bit of extra damage. XT and Mimiron, they're two of the most guilty parties in that regard. They have a binary hard mode whereby they do more damage, and in the case of XT, have more health, and that's it. That doesn't really make the fight more interesting. I suppose it makes it a little bit more challenging, but to me, Mimiron was kind of an enjoyable fight anyway, and it was reasonably challenging. Making it a little bit more challenging, I don't know how much that's really gonna vary it up for me. It's not gonna sort of relight my fire as regards to enthusiasm for raiding. I used to like getting items as well, and I still do. I think getting items is a very thrilling thing, but I remember the last time I got an item, it just wasn't as exciting as it used to be. Is it Blizzard's fault? No, not really. They're providing the content that they think people want, and they're of course correct. I would say the majority of players do want this content, and they've provided an instance which is extremely good, with a lot of optional hard modes, which means that it's got a lot more lastability than you would expect. Admittedly, even without the hard modes, people would have still been playing, because they need to get their items for the next raids encounters. But at least there is an option there to maybe throw a spanner in the works, optionally, in return for some cool gear. Nothing wrong with that. So will I return from Raid Burnout? Maybe, maybe not. I'm thinking of maybe trying a little bit of PvP, which sounds a little bit crazy. And I suppose I could probably try rolling up an alt, but the thing is, I don't really like leveling, and never have. Recruit a Friend is great, but I still have to go through 60 to 80 content, and I don't know if I can pull that off. I think what I'll do is I'll maybe take a break and go play another game for a while. And then maybe I'll be enthused by WoW. I always end up coming back to WoW. WoW's a great staple, and I think that a lot of people realise that. We always get people coming back to WoW after a new MMO launches. They have a couple of months on it, and they come back to WoW. We've seen the figures. So many people came back from Warhammer Online. So many people came back from Lotro, or all manner of things like that. It's a good MMO, and we know that. It's not spectacular in that it's got a load of innovative features, but it's a good, solid, staple MMO, and we know that if we come back after a break, chances are we'll have a bit of fun. But the last thing I want to do, and I imagine there's a few of you like this, is burn out so much that I despise the very image of WoW, that I hate the idea of going back to the game. I wouldn't want that to happen, so, just going to chill out for a while. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you listen to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. I'll be back after this, talking about leveling content, and Blizzard's claims that they will not allow you to start at level 55 in the near future. Wonder what they mean by that. I'll be right back after this, folks. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com.
We interrupt your normally scheduled awesomeness for this important announcement.
Hey guys, it's your friendly neighborhood Dustin here to tell you that you need to donate to Team Murloc for the staff donation duel. And if you don't, I will find you at Blizzcon and I will stab you so hard you're gonna wish I didn't stab you so hard. And remember, if Team Murloc wins, I'll take 2 pies to the face. Yay! Go Team Murloc! Actual stabbing may or may not occur depending on factors such as having boobs, giving hugs, giving Dustin bribe money, and letting Dustin win in StarCraft 2.
dear Lord Dustin, why? Why do you do this? You listen to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. Now, I want to see a little bit of a representing going on in the channel. If you are in the IRC channel, I would like you to do one of two things. If you are supporting Team Murloc in the staff donation drive off thing, put in those little nice square brackets TM before your name. So you type /Nick, open the square brackets, put TM in capitals, close brackets, and then the rest of your name. If you are supporting Team Nubcake, then you type /Nick, open your square brackets, and put NC and close brackets in front of your name. And no, I don't want Murloc at the end of your name, because that's too freaking big, and it's far easier to see who supports who if you put it at the start of your name, not at the end, thickos. So yes, let's see who you support, representing in the channel. Now, I've had someone ask me, specifically, whether or not if you donate to the staff donation drive for BlizzCon that you will get Donator Forum access, which is the extra special forum that you normal guys don't see, and has bonus content. Well, yes, you do, in fact. Yes, you do. And what you can do is you can contact, put a little note on your donation, and also contact Ariana to get your forum account upgraded. It'll be awesome. Right, I have an email here that I would like to read. It's from our friendly neighborhood Death Knight that we read out from earlier, Shiara, and it's regarding the raiding thing. And he says, Dear TB, I know how you feel on the whole, about being sick of raiding, though I haven't got that far in the game. I have got sick of games in the way that you are talking about. What I usually do is change games, like to an FPS. After all, you did the same thing with EVE Online, but you may just need to leave WoW because you're not really sick of raiding and more sick of the players in your raids. I left FF11 for the same reason. Well, I don't know about that. There's some players that I think need to get their ideas up, and I don't like having my time wasted. I think now that I work so much and have so much on my plate, there's one thing I hate more than anything, it's having my time wasted. By other people that should know better. That annoys me. That really, really bothers me. And I do think that's probably one of the main reasons that I'm sick of it. And the problem is there's not really a lot we can do about it. Players are a finite commodity, especially on our server, and there's quite a bit of competition. But it is a shame. Well, we'll see. Now, you can send in your emails for anything you would like to talk about on themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. But for the moment, we are going to go on to a different topic, and this is regarding leveling. Now, there was a quote on MMO Champion recently, or indeed if you use the blue tracker of any kind. There was an interesting blue post regarding rerolls to start at level 55. And this was posted by Skrigel on, I believe, the US forums. And he said a few things. He says first, we've seen requests to add a /level or similar feature before, and that will be a feature that allows you to start at level 55. I can tell you this is not something we have plans to implement currently or in the near future. We believe that there is still value and entertainment to be had in the various terrestrial Azerothian zones. Now he also mentions the changes that they've made. We've changed the amount of experience received from quests and mobs from early level on. That should help alleviate much of the time between levels and make for an overall more fun experience. And he also then replied to, the standard kind of trolling is like, oh, this is all bad, blah, 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 and said, wait, if I was ADD, wouldn't the grind affect me more? I mean, wouldn't I lose interest in the grind even more quickly? That is, if it's as linear as you describe it. Thankfully, I haven't found it to be. I do, in point of fact, have several ults that I've been working on for the last 2 weeks. Playing less than 3 hours a day, I'm afraid. Still, they are reaching maturity rather quickly. The one I'm enjoying the most is a nifty hunter. He's already level 54 and the pets are fun. I've got a gorilla named George, he's curious about things. I haven't found the situation to be anywhere near as dire as your portrayal indicates. As long as I quest, the levels seem to fly by. I suppose that's what you expect from a moorhead, whatever the hell that means. Yeah, that's people on the US forums being angsty as they usually are. Angst. It's an angsty weekend, folks. You can expect to see it. E3's come and gone. Valve announced a game that some people don't think should even be released, and people are incredibly upset about the whole affair. So yes, you can expect to hear stuff like that. A lot. I think people are just in a bad mood this weekend. Personally, I'm not. Now, I agree to some degree with what Krygel says. Yeah? Some people do still find that kind of thing enjoyable, and yes, questing is the best way to make levels fly by. Grinding is no fun. I don't know of many people that actually enjoy it. There are a few bizarre, highly twisted people that do, but I am not one of those people, and the people that I know are not the people either. It just, I don't get it. Why would you enjoy it? I suppose if it had a really great combat system, then you would get into it, but WoW's combat system isn't actually all that fun. Not in comparison to, say, a hack-and-slash RPG, whereby you could just cleave through massive amounts of enemies. Now, consider this. In WoW, I've got all manner of things, including AoEs. As a mage, I'm like the AoE king. Now, if I drop an AoE, the best that I can expect is to see minor damage on the mobs. If I drop an AoE in, say, Titan Quest, say if I drop a lava ball as the, whatever the guys, I think it's the Earth class. If I drop a lava ball on a group of 10 skeletons, those skeletons will explode. Their bones will go all over the place. I'll have just absolutely wiped out a bunch of mobs in a single blow. And here's the thing, you've got to kill a lot more mobs in Titan Quest than indeed hack and slash, but they die faster. It's more enjoyable just to go on a wanton slaughter, because the combat is more satisfying. Now, MMOs have always had a problem in that regard, because their mechanics have to be more limited to accommodate what they're trying to do. Having a massively multiplayer hack and slash is tricky, and doing it right is even trickier. Diablo did it very, very right, but then again, that ain't an MMORPG, is it? It doesn't work the same way. You can't have mass killing in a massively multiplayer online RPG for the very reason that there isn't enough space to put enough mobs in there for everyone to do that. It's like, consider if you had your Earth Mage from Titan Quest or whatever, and you trained Lava Ball, and you were blowing up groups of 10 skeletons at a time. Now consider there's another 100 people in the area doing exactly the same thing. You need 1,000 mobs in the area with rapid respawn rates. It would be ridiculous. There is a reason why it takes longer to kill mobs than you would expect from, say, Diablo, or from Titan Quest, or other RPGs like Dungeon Siege, Mass Effect, Oblivion, anything like that. It's because a lot of people are trying to kill them, and you can't just have people cleaving through massive numbers of mobs. We've seen what happens when overlevelers, say people who are massively overleveled for the area, go in AoE farm. People get very, very frustrated. Now imagine if everybody did that. It would be horrendous. But they were doing it at equal level to the mobs. So yeah, grinding not fun. Questing more fun. Here's the problem. Questing, yes. Questing is great because it's a set of mini objectives and you get a reward at the end. The problem is that doing the same quests over and over again gets less fun. Those of us who don't really enjoy the lore or the background story find questing less enjoyable than those that do, I would imagine. We like getting the rewards and we like getting new gear and stuff like that. But we don't really like the quests, and let's face it, leveling, even after all of the nerfs, takes a long time. It is better with Recruit a Friend. Yeah? Recruit a Friend makes it a lot better. It makes the leveling far more tolerable. And I've managed to get a character to 60 with Recruit a Friend, and that's the first time I've ever got a character to 60 aside from my US and EU majors. Thing is, after that, we have to suffer through the Burning Crusade of all things, which... the questing's better, don't get me wrong, but it's not good enough to justify saying, okay, we can stop the extra experience now. No, it really isn't. I'm sorry, Blizzard, it's not. And for us experienced players who, the magic's worn off a bit. We got a bit jaded to this kind of thing. Yes, questing was a marvellous new innovation when we started playing, and we liked the whole press the button, get the food pellet mechanic, but not so much anymore. We're jaded to that. It's not so interesting. And yes, there are altaholics that are able to do this. I am not one of them, and I don't know of many people that actually are. Certainly not in active raiding guilds. A lot of players just stick with their one character. They stick with their main, they don't bother. And yes, some people roll up a Death Knight. Maybe they don't even get it to 80, but they get a Death Knight, get it to 60, do some farming, maybe do some PvP, and that'll be about it. So the question is, should Blizzard do anything about this? I don't know whether revamping the old content is a particularly good idea. It seems like a lot of development time spent for very little gain. However, I think there is a growing group of players, myself included, that are kind of a little bit tired of the endgame, And not because the endgame's bad, just because we've been doing it forever, and maybe we'd be reinvigorated if we were able to get another character up to 80 a lot faster. And yes, relatively speaking, in comparison to what it used to be, it is faster. And yeah, we also know that the Wrath content is quite good. As questing goes, it is the best that they've put out. But we've still got a lot of levels in between there and there. With Recruit a Friend, that's pretty tricky to set up. I mean, someone else is going to get another account, you've got to transfer a character over to your main account after you're done. It's quite difficult to find someone like that, and of course you do also need to be on at the same time. Personally, I'd be in favour of being able to purchase experience potions that would do the same thing as RAF, but wouldn't require you to set up a new account and all that awkwardness. And I would want people who, say, had a level 80 to have access to that only. It would make sense, right? But even then, you're just speeding up what you already don't like. You're just kind of shortening the grind, as it were. And it is a grind. It's a grind in sheep's clothing. It's a very good grind in sheep's clothing. Or, indeed, it's a grind in very good sheep's clothing. It's very well concealed, certainly for the first-time player, but not so much anymore. Not for us. We understand how it works. We know how it goes. We know it's a hidden grind. It's a very well-hidden grind, but we've uncovered that. However, I don't necessarily believe that the Hey Start at 55 option is a very good way of doing things. For one thing, you don't learn your class properly if you start at 55. The Death Knight was designed so that you could, yeah? It was like a crash course. You don't have that with the other classes, and unless you created new level 55 starting areas for every single bloody class, whereby you were given talent points a little bit at a time from quests, you were given skills in a sort of compressed amount, that won't happen, yeah? We're never going to see that. So what you end up having is having to learn a class. It's like, oh, I'm level 55, I've got like 30 different skills, I have no idea what any of these do. And actually, you end up getting more frustrated than you do enjoy the content. I don't think that's going to work. So the question, I suppose, would be, well, is there another way of leveling? Well, there's a few ways. And to look at it, we need to look at other MMOs. Let's start with War. Yeah, this is a very good example. Warhammer Online allows leveling through PvP. And yes, I know, here comes the arguments, Twinks, we can't get through Twinks, blah, blah, blah. Let's assume that you were able to just turn off leveling in PvP, or indeed, there were different battlegrounds that allowed experience and some that didn't. Now, expanding the PvP and ensuring that you can earn levels by PvPing, in my opinion, is a good way not only to teach the class, but to provide an alternative leveling experience. Questing is fun for a while, but PvP, well, that stays fun for a bit longer, because that always changes. I still occasionally go into a battleground every now and again, and that's after 4 years of playing, and I don't find battlegrounds stale or anything like that. Leveling in battlegrounds, yeah, I could do that, and indeed did so in War, as did a lot of other players. There were a number of things in War, of course, ideas that should in fact be stolen, including the idea of public quests, which are large, epic, cooperative quests that happen on a timetable basis. Like, once you finish it, they reset after a couple of minutes so other people can do them. And you get a massive amount of experience of good rewards and stuff like that. Now, if you're going to add anything to the old school content, I would add something like that, because that's a big, new, enjoyable experience for all, as opposed to extra quests and revamping other areas so that they may be a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit less grindy. Putting in something like that would help. I think there's an awful lot of ideas that would work, but what I think needs to be taken from this, as opposed to a laundry list of things which might work, is this. Blizzard have got to change the leveling experience for people who have already done it several times before. Yes, I know that you've got the shoulders which give the 10% extra XP, yes, I know about RAF, I know that you've increased the XP, but it's still the same thing. It's still questing, it just is slightly faster. And what that demonstrates to me, and this is what is disturbing more than anything, is that Blizzard accept that their content is not as good as it used to be, and they're giving players the ability to skip past it as fast as possible, and are continuing to do so. Now, what that indicates to me is that there is room for improvement in that content via the addition of new mechanics or different ways to level. And that, to me, is important. You're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. I'll be right back after this, where we talk a little bit about PvE and PvP, the formula, and how we can maybe vary it up a little bit. I'll be right back after this music break, folks. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com.
Hey guys, it's Dunkel. I wanted to take a minute and talk to you guys about Blizzcon fundraising. Now, if you haven't been on our front page, you'll go there and you'll see that we got these two little donate buttons for BlizzCon, and we're having a healthy little competition for, the staff to see who can raise the most money. We've broken it up into who's going to BlizzCon and broken it up into two teams. There's, Team Murloc and Team Nubcake, which is the one I'm on, which I gotta say, I think Team Nubcake is gonna take it. And I just want to, take a moment to sort of, point out some of the goodness of Team Nubcake. Well, us here at Team Nubcake, we've been here since 1873. My great-grandfather crossed the internet wastelands, in a rickety old caravan, as you guys like to call it over there in Europe, and he went through some hard times to make a life for his family here and in the new world of internets, way back in the 1800s. He was a sheriff of his internet town. When you think Team Nubcake, you think, stability. You think, these are the people that have been around forever. These Murloc guys, I'm not going to say that they don't support the troops, or that they pal around with domestic terrorist Bill Ayers, because, those rumors are unfounded, but I have to say, those medals that Team Murloc won in Vietnam, I don't know if they deserved them all. I'm just saying. I think we need to start a conversation about this. They don't support the troops. I said it, okay? They don't. They just don't. So, if you're thinking about donating, why not donate to, Team Nubcake? I think it makes sense. There's us and there's them. Which side are you on?
Well, that was inflammatory. My name's TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. I've got some emails before we go into the next topic. Yes. Something about grinding here. This was from Judas Grail, and he says this: one other thing that I've found about leveling alts from 1 is that leveling mat-intensive professions like enchanting at the proper level, rather than spending thousands to power level. You can pretty much always make decent money because new players or alts are craving these low-level mats, etc. Yeah, I always found that leveling professions as you went along was kind of cool. It harks back to when I used to enjoy leveling up. What did I used to have? I had mining and engineering. Those were my first two professions, and I used to level up engineering, getting all these neat things, like running around with dynamite. I was the only engineer in the guild, because everyone else rolled useful professions. So I had engineering, so I was had bags full of bombs and stuff, and that was fun. And when I got my little mithril dragonling, oh yeah, that was great. But yeah, I suppose that is actually one little tip for those of you who like tips. I don't do tips on the show, generally speaking. I expect you guys to play well, and I'm not going to tell you how to do it, I'm just going to tell you to do it. But yeah, that's a tip. Level up professions as well. Got one here from Lightano, from, what the hell is that? Abyssus Incursio. That's kind of cool. That's a bit 40k, a little bit grim, dark grim there. He's a level 80 human holy priest. He's from Agramar EU, and he says this: I actually think some... What? There, let's try it again and correct his spellings on the fly. I actually think that some of the lore needs to be revamped as well. The missing diplomat chain still exists, despite the fact that the king is safe in the throne room. I think that some of the achievements should award experience too. Just getting the achievement just adds a little notch to the achievements you completed. Maybe getting a small amount for, say, getting a tabard, and larger amounts for achievements that are harder to get. I don't know about that, to be honest. Really, I never liked achievements. I can understand why you would want that, but I don't think that rewarding people for kissing 50 chickens is a particularly good idea. Although, taking it from another way, I suppose if you were to provide a way of leveling via achievements that actually rewarded you the lower level you did it, it's kind of cool, because that's like leveling via exploring, I suppose. This is the kind of thing that would reward you for doing... Jeez, he's actually stumbled across a really good idea. Wow, that's never happened before. Let me flesh out his idea a little bit, and let's make it actually work as a idea to enhance leveling. Now, I don't like achievements, but I think this might have a little bit of potential. So think about it this way, right? There's a number of problems with leveling right now, and one of those big problems is you can't get people into instances to save your life. Yeah? They want to get to 60 or 70 or 80 as fast as humanly possible, and they want to do the quickest way of doing it. Now, also, all of these instances have achievements attached to them, mainly for just completing the instance. What if you were to provide a nice big lump of experience that's scaled depending on your level? Yeah? Just like a quest. It's like doing grey quests gets you bugger all experience. Also, doing grey achievements gets you bugger all experience. So you couldn't say, oh, well, I'm level 79, I'm going to get to 80 by running Ragefire Chasm, because that would just be stupid. So have it scale that way. And if you have a nice big fat pot of experience at the end that is tied into that achievement. And what about the exploration ones? You should be encouraging people to explore the world and see things that they haven't seen before. So, having people discover nifty things within the world that they may not have seen. Say, there's quite a few landmarks and nifty things within the World of Warcraft that a lot of people haven't seen. Like, for instance, I can't remember what it's called, but in Ashenvale, there's like a valley, which I think has a memorial for Grom Hellscream or something along those lines. It is full of demons, and it's got a monument and everything, and the vast majority of players that I know have not been there. So if you want to have an achievement for, say, reading what's on Grom Hellscream's thing, and doing it at a appropriate level, so the stuff would actually be challenging, then you're rewarding people with experience for exploration. Now that, in my opinion, should be a valid way of leveling. Exploring the World of Warcraft, learning the lore of the World of Warcraft, that should be important. Completing certain lines of quests, for instance, that have specific important elements of lore should also perhaps grant achievements. Now, again, War did this better. And how did War do this better? War did this with something called the Bestiary. And the Bestiary recorded all of this cool stuff. So it's like you learned a bit of lore about goblins or whatever, it went into the Bestiary and you could read it at your leisure. But you also were rewarded with experience for completing pieces of the Bestiary. You were also rewarded with titles, which was pretty cool. To be honest, titles are an interesting thing to encourage people to do various things while leveling. Now, Lord of the Rings Online did this very, very well. Lord of the Rings provided titles that you could only get if you did leveling in a particular way. For instance, there's a title, if you get to like level 5 without dying, there's a title, yeah? If you get to level 10 without dying, there's a title. If you get to level 20 without dying, there's a title, and these titles get cooler as you go along. But of course, getting to level 20 without dying, that's tough. And there's a bunch of other stuff like that. Say you got titles for leveling up professions early, or learning specific items and stuff like that. Now what that allows you to do is level up in a different way. It allows you to prioritize things that you might find more interesting and still be rewarded with things that actually go towards your ultimate goal, i.e. experience. That's your ultimate goal, is to get to 80, but you want to do it in the most enjoyable way possible. So like I said before, I enjoyed leveling professions, and I still do. I think getting professions up and learning things is cool. I like crafting. I think it could be expanded a lot, but I like crafting. So why not tie experience into crafting? Why not? I mean, it doesn't ruin the new player's experience by any sort. And indeed, you could tie all of, or at least a lot of this stuff, into having a level 80 character. Like, this kind of thing would unlock the new leveling experience, we'll call it. Once you get to 80, the new leveling experience unlocks for all of your alts, and you get to level in a whole bunch of different ways. Now that, I feel, would probably allow people to actually enjoy the content and, more importantly, see stuff that they haven't seen and look at it in a new light. Appreciate it for what it is. That, to me, is kind of important. Because I never really got into the story of WoW. And I think the reason for that was because getting into the story of WoW didn't really further my ultimate goal. But if getting into the story of WoW did further my ultimate goal, well then. So there's a bunch of ideas, Blizz, if you're listening, and I know you are. At least one of you is. Think about it, the new leveling experience. Think about how you could actually expand and create a new way of leveling without actually adding in all that much additional content. It's very clever. So I'm going to thank the person who sent that email in. which was Simon Chapman, also known as Litanio, from Abyssus Incursio indeed, on Agramar EU, because he just sparked a very good idea. The new leveling experience. Think about it. Now, this is a nice segue onto the topic that I'm now going to talk about, which is PvE and PvP in their traditional forms and how we could possibly expand them to allow for new and exciting ways to play. Now, already we've seen that Wrath of the Lich King has given a new exciting way to play, but I would like to go back a little bit and sort of trace the history of how PvE and PvP evolved. Now, PvE was kind of in the game from the get-go. Dungeons, instances, and all that kind of thing. It's only natural that once you got to endgame, you would do bigger dungeons with harder bosses and more people for better items. But PvP, well, that evolved at a slower pace, because when it was first brought into the game, it wasn't even finished. You'll remember, if you bought a copy on day one, that it talked about the honour system and rewards that could be gotten from that. However, the honour system was not brought in until several months after European launch, and that's several more months after US launch. So it actually took a long time for that to get implemented into the game. But yes, they implemented the honour system. They then implemented Battlegrounds, and that changed the way that PvP worked. Because PvP started by I see red, I gank. Or we have a big battle between Taran Mill and South Shore for no other apparent reason than we just want to. We don't gain anything from it, we just want to have a scrap. Now, of course, the honour system really helped that, and that basically turned the entire of Hillsbrad into one massive great outdoor battleground. That changed when they brought in actual battlegrounds that rewarded you better. Yeah? Alterac Valley is a prime example. It had PvE quests mixed with PvP objectives that would provide specific rewards. And it did so in a better way than the Taran Mill South Shore backwards and forwards. It let you respawn quicker for a start. It was clearly tailored to PvP, and while it wasn't perfect, it was a new way to PvP. So, of course, the Taran Mill versus South Shore thing died down. Now, there was an attempt to bring World PvP back to the fore with a couple of World PvP objectives that you could get. You know, this was towards the end of Vanilla WoW's life. And that was the towers in the Eastern Plaguelands. You could take those in order to get a buff and a bonus. Now, not a lot of people really got involved in that, and the concept was expanded in the Burning Crusade, whereby a lot of the zones in the Burning Crusade had a specific PvP objective, and there were things you could actually get from it. You could actually earn these marks, these currencies, which could be traded in. You could get these spirit shards, which could be traded in for all that kind of other stuff. We had Halal, which, to be honest, was not exactly the best thing. It's unfortunate, really. I'm actually quite surprised that Halar didn't work out better than you might have thought it did. I think the bombing runs really screwed it up for me. It was less of an actual pitched battle and more of a, hey, let's fly around on bats and drop things on people and really annoy the hell out of everyone kind of game. Wasn't a fan of it. But it's an interesting blueprint for the possibility of future PvP content. I feel that PvP content has got to go one specific way. A lot of people have said, and it's a growing feeling, that outdoor stuff, sort of more freeform PvP, is more enjoyable than the deathmatch arena style of the arenas and the battlegrounds. Don't get me wrong, arenas and battlegrounds are still fun. However, the idea of fighting someone is surely to take something from them, right? Now, in a battleground, you don't really take anything from anybody. It's an artificial arena. It's an artificial deathmatch, as it were. It's just a team deathmatch, capture the flag or whatever. There's no persistence there. Now, I'm sure you could add some persistence into Battlegrounds. There are other games you can look at to see how that would work, via the totaling up of who won what. But what's most important for PvP in the future, in my opinion, is the ability to take something from your opponent. Your side has got to gain something beyond a simple 5% experience buff or whatever. It's got to be able to take territory. Now, Wintergrasp is, of course, the first stage in that particular. What you do is, with Wintergrasp, you've got this fortress which changes hands, and there is a benefit for holding it. Indeed, there is a very specific benefit for holding the Wintergrasp. Winning the Wintergrasp is obviously a good thing, but you are able to farm specific mobs if you win the Wintergrasp. You gain control of an entire zone, and you can also get into the Vault of Archivon. You also get access to certain vendors. All of these things are important. There are, I suppose, an evolution on Halar. Because Halar was supposed to do the same thing. You own this, you gain access to certain stuff, and evidently it didn't do so well. Wintergrasp has done a lot better. I would like to see that expanded, perhaps on a smaller scale. Because we've already seen that they can have ownable buildings of some description. But it would be nice to see those buildings be owned and actually have a reason to defend them beyond, hey, we get this little buff. What it also allows you to do is create a game that's less static, and WoW does have that problem. It is a static game, and that's just the way that it was designed. But what you can do is have these little spots, these little oases, if you will, of shifting battle lines. I would find that interesting. I'm not a PvPer, but I would find that interesting. Now, what about PvE? Well, there have been discussions regarding the mixing of PvE and PvP, and again, I go back to another example of War. War has certain PvE zones where you can fight over them outside, kind of just like Vault of Archivon. But unlike Vault of Archivon, if you capture the area, you are able to go in, and you are actually able to fight the people who are doing the instance inside, which is pretty crazy, don't get me wrong. We've seen things like that before, PvE mixed with PvP, on PvP realms with open world bosses. And it kind of worked, but I think it could have done with a little bit more refining. That's one way to go down it. Admittedly, a lot of people are not going to like that. So are there any other ways to go with PvE? Because it seems to me that PvE, while it can evolve in the sense that it gets a little bit more complex and the bosses get better, it doesn't really have anywhere it can go other than let's just tack more and more and more stuff onto it. That, I think, nicely wraps up this entire show and what I've been talking about with the idea of burning out on the game. PvE being the major content, I see no future for it other than the same thing over and over again. And for some people that's fine. Indeed, if you're going to have a revolving door player base whereby players come and go, then that's okay. But it just upsets me kind of from the start that I can't really think of a way to actually evolve PvE beyond what it is right now, whereas PvP has a ton of cool possibilities. It's an interesting conundrum. I'm sure the people of Blizzard can think of something. My name is TotalBiscuit, and you're listening to Blue Plz here on WoW Radio. I'll be back after the break with the illusion of choice. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. So yeah, I'm pretty quiet on Vent, you know? Kinda laid back. Oh my god, you noobs! DPS the end! Just like to chill out, kick back, relax, raid with my friends. No worries, no stress. How is that even possible? Are you 7 different shades of stupid? Move out of the fire! It's important to make sure my orders come through loud and clear. I'm a bit, shy. I'm not particularly loud or anything. My last event server was really poor quality. Tank it, for heaven's sakes! Tank it! How can you be so monumentally freaking terrible? Well, I discovered UGT Ventrilo servers. Amazing quality, great prices, and they're so reliable. Pretty much perfect in every way. I mean, I was a pretty calm guy before, and now I've got even less reasons to worry. Why? Why do I raid with you people? Why not get one of your own? UGTservers.com. That's UGTservers.com. You'll be glad that you did. It's really helped me find my zen, you know? Yes, indeed, folks. We are tuned into Blue Plz. All of us, every single one of us, on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit, and we are running short on time, so let's get it on! The illusion of choice! Well, you get to pick the last topic of the show, and I've got one that I quite like here. It's related to WoW. So, yeah. Comes from Richard Danu, and he says this: as you have recently talked about often on Blue Plz, you yourself are getting tired of raiding in the new game content. This is the main case for you, as I know it's a lot of people. It's beginning to affect myself as well. Then what are you doing other than WoW? EVE is a big one, and you've talked about it before, but do you not think that EVE in itself can get even as boring as these new raiding counters? So for the main part of this, what do you do with your game time if you're not on WoW or EVE? Well, first I'd like to address the whole EVE thing. Actually, yes, EVE can get really boring really fast. The problem with EVE, and this is also its strength, is that if you're not involved in basically pissing off other players, then you're not having fun in the game. The questing in EVE absolutely sucks. Oh god. There's a little bit of coolness there, but here's how it goes, right? Questing in EVE is a binary state. Either you are alive or you are dead, yeah? And whether or not you're alive or dead depends entirely on how you set up your character to begin with. If you set up your ship correctly, then you will never die, yeah? You can be in a state where you basically constantly self-heal to the point where all of the enemies you're killing do not have enough DPS to down you, yeah? Alternatively, if you didn't set yourself up that way, then you get killed and you lose your ship or whatever. Or if you're lucky, you manage to get out before that happens. End up paying repair costs or whatever. EVE is about static content. It's not about static content at all. Static content is really terrible. It's about dynamic content. It's about making war with other people. And about making your own enjoyment out of a world that changes constantly on a day-to-day basis. WoW isn't like that. WoW's got all of these cool things that you can do, and it's very preset as to how you have fun. They're both different kinds of games. Now, here's the thing. I don't just play MMOs. In fact, actually, MMOs are the minority of my gaming time. And what I don't really understand is people that just play WoW and that's all they play. Like, oh, I just play WoW. Like, how exactly? I can't imagine. I mean, for instance, I went into town today. It was Friday, you know, I was being frugal all week, and I get myself a treat on Fridays. I decided to buy some games for the PSP, because the PSP in this country is very much a dying format, and the games are really cheap, which is very cool. Thankfully, of course, the PSP will hopefully get back on its feet after they release the new one, and everything goes digital distribution, which I am looking forward to. Good lord, I'm looking forward to that. That's great. What a great idea. Now, you can bring the development costs down, you can increase your revenue, and you can get your games instantly, without having to worry about going to a shop for it or whatever. Digital distribution is cool, and the PlayStation Network, which is what the PSP uses, is very good with that. It works. And it's free, which is always nice. But yeah, I got myself some PSP games because I play a lot of other games that aren't WoW. And indeed, for the last few years or so, all I've really been doing in WoW is logging in for raids, and then the rest of my game time is spent doing entirely other things. And I can't figure out the people that don't do that. I can't understand it. I don't know, maybe it's just a different strokes for different folks kind of situation. But for me, to enjoy WoW, I've got to be playing all of this other stuff, because it complements it nicely. A single-player RPG plays differently to a MMORPG. And of course, all these other types of games. There are standard multiplayer games like Team Fortress 2, Left 4 Dead, Killing Floor, that kind of thing. There are also massively multiplayer games, and they also play differently. You might think that the only difference is a few extra thousand players, but that's not true at all. The mechanics are entirely different, and multiplayer games are always going to be massively different to massively multiplayer games. Now, what I would encourage everyone to do is, if you don't play a lot of other games, then you're probably going to burn out on WoW sooner than you might want to. And indeed, you might end up resenting WoW more than you should. To me, WoW is a nice complement to the games that I usually play. It's not the other way around. I don't play games to complement WoW. I play WoW to complement my other games. Because I'm a gamer at heart, and I play lots of games, and my Steam collection is Xbox huge, and my Xbox collection is Xbox huge, and my PSP collection is Xbox huge, and I like playing all of those games, and I will continue to like playing all those games. I like playing new games. There's nothing wrong with that. Go play some other Blizzard games. Go try Diablo. Go play some Titan Quest, which is not a Blizzard game, but it's still very good. There's all sorts of things out there. I don't think people should narrow their horizons so much by just playing a single game, as they will end up getting sick of it, and then they're not going to have any idea what to do. You get sick of it quicker if that's all you do. So yeah, that's a simple answer to that question, to be honest, since we are rapidly running out of time. I'd like to thank everyone for listening today. It's been a very enjoyable show for me. Very introspective. A lot of thoughts, a lot of cool ideas that I hope Blizzard has actually heard. It's always nice to be positive and grow some innovation from our bad experiences with the game, as opposed to our good. It's shout-out time, folks, so email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com, or you can tweet me at twitter.com/TotalBiscuit, or get on IRC. That's irc.mmoirc.com. Hash or pound WoW Radio. Click the chat button at the top of the screen on wcradio.com. Get your shout-outs in for the last few minutes of the show, folks, and remember, we're doing the donation. Yes, we are. We are raising lots of money for people to go to Blizzcon with, and get equipment and upgrade our servers and all that other good stuff. And who knows? The more money we raise, we might be getting some more cool giveaways. And speaking of cool giveaways, the WoW Idol semi-final airing tomorrow. Yes, indeed. There will be an EU and US friendly times for it. The EU friendly time will be at 1800 BST, that's British Standard Time, or British Summer Time, whichever you prefer, and that's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon EST, and there will be another showing at 6 PM BST. No, that's not right. 6 PM EST, which is 11 PM BST. Two showings will both be exactly the same, so if you want to tune in and listen to what we've got from the WoW Idol contest, we've got loads of really good songs, and lots of ones that we will no doubt be bashing horribly, then you'll want to tune into that show. It is going to be an absolute blinder. Totally, you cannot miss this in a million years, and if you do, then, well, exterminatus and fire on you and your household. So yes, tune into that on WCRadio.com tomorrow. Shout out time, folks. A shout out to Sumpwa on Proudmoore US for yelling for the Horde at my high school graduation. Oh dear. A shout out to Dunkor. Happy birthday, Mr. President. I'm not singing that. That's from the Elite Hacksaw. Can I have a shout out to Corticus, amazing druid of Dragonmoor, Iron Bob, an old friend from Dragonmoor, and a shout out to Dawn Song, my Age of Conan Guild. That's from the Limus. People still play that? That actually kind of surprises me. A shout out to Evanis, to Relentless on Sisters of Balloon, Stop Dying, Solarin, I Can't Drink Any More Shots. A shout out to Insidia for downing Algernon 25, man. Well done, well done. And that's from Intricacy, well done indeed. Nerf Dance Zombies, that's from Ragavale, Doomhammer EU. Someone's been playing PvZ a little bit too much, perhaps. Who knows? Now, we've got a shout out here from, can I get a shout out to everyone in Devil's Rejects on Ice Crown US from Schmers, and Bayangan is the bomb. Also, happy birthday to me yesterday, yay 18, bottle shop here I come. Yes, your priorities are clearly in order. Can I get a small shout out? No, you may not. You may have a standard sized shout out. We don't do small here. Or you can go large for an extra 40 pence. Resonance for getting XT002 10-man hard mode down and going back in today to attempt some others. Can I also get an epic drop in? Yes, I did just say. Epic. There you go. Love the show, keep up the good work. That's from LeSherm, level 80, Torment Druid from Resonance on Argos, US. Hi, can I get a quick shout out to Timaeus? Yes, that is actually right. Timaeus, I suppose. Timaeus! For doing 3 Ulduar 10-man hard modes. That's from Hornshade. Shout out to Team Murloc, the only team you need. That's from Gnomewise. I can think of a few people that might disagree with that. Let's check the Twitter sphere. That's a terrible name for anything, by the way. I didn't like Blogosphere. The Twitter sphere is even worse. Can I get a shout out to Sons of Horus on Anvilmar US? That's from the Hatfield. Well, yes, you can. And ladies and gentlemen, I am done. Thank you for listening to my show. Go check out the other shows on WCRadio.com. The next show to air will, of course, be the Mighty WoW Things Considered. At 7 PM EST tonight, that is midnight, British Standard Time, on WCRadio.com. Check out the rest of our shows on iTunes. You can rate and review us, and indeed, you can now recommend us to a friend. And we would very much appreciate that if you were to do so. I'm out of here, folks. I've been TotalBiscuit. This has been Blue Plz. And you have been... Good night.
Straps are flying, giving justice and liberty.
Check out Internal Conflict on myspace.com/internalconflictband, and you can buy their debut EP for only £3. Well worth it. Approaching to put on a show, but our other host is MIA. That's when you need to call someone on Skype and beg for them to save the day. We're gonna need a done call. Oh, it takes a done call. There's a ton of things happening at once. Gonna tell the world what's going on. And with every show you hear a little improvement. He'll be deputy assistant reserve manager before too long. That's called a done call. Oh, we want a done call. And anything that you need to happen, from production to hosting shows, you need a done call. Even Cat has a done call. If you're ever in the market for someone to act nonchalant about pretty much everything, who owns a giant orange foam hat, probably best to look up Duncor. No, Duncor. Can't get the staff these days. Except for Duncor. No! You bastards. Assuming that he's not busy, he might begrudgingly agree to fill in. You need a Duncor. Oh, it takes a Duncor. Always rely on a Duncor. If you want to play Dota, you should find someone else than Duncor. Ooh, fade out. Ooh. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, a show that airs exclusively on WCRadio.com on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. EST. You can check out our archives on our website at WCRadio.com and subscribe to our RSS feeds. Don't forget to rate and review us using iTunes, and if you wish to leave constructive criticism, that is always appreciated. Head over to WCRadio.com/forum and post in the threads there. Thank you for listening.